This episode of the Smarter Business Podcast features Alex Villafranca. Alex is one of the co-founders and CEO of Arbeit Software, which is a communications platform that allows modern and more efficient communication between businesses and consumers. Alex also produces video content for Arbeit Software, and he goes into how he uses video to prove Arbeit's expert status. Bonus, you'll hear more about how World of Warcraft can help you grow your network and business. As always, if you like what you hear, please subscribe wherever you're taking in this podcast, and please leave a comment. We're always looking for feedback, and it can help people find this show. Welcome to this episode of the Smarter Business Podcast. This month, we have Alex Villafranca from Arbeit Software. And Alex, I'll give you an option to kind of introduce yourself and your company.
Sure. Yeah, so Alex Villafranca, one of the co-founders and CEO of Arbeit Software. We are a communications platform that allows businesses to communicate with consumers in a modern, more friendly way. And essentially what that is we make, we have a few different products, but we have an autodialer is our first product that we launched about 5 or 6 years ago. That's what got us into this. It's not the most friendly way of communicating with consumers, but that was our first product. We have a phone system for businesses. We have a compliant communications platform that eliminates the need for robocalls for businesses, but allows them to still reach consumers in just as a productive and efficient way. That's what Arbeit is and what we do.
That's excellent. And I think in one of our first conversations, we discussed your radio spots that you were doing, right? For your phone system?
Yeah. With Duke Nukem as our voiceover.
Yes, which was excellent and memorable. Right?
Yeah, people loved it.
That's great. So how'd you get started? Or how did the business get started?
So I guess there's a few stories behind it. I was a debt collector. Collection agencies use our software now. It's our biggest customer industry. But I was a collector, and then I had the idea to open my own collection agency. I thought it would be easy for some reason because it looked easy being a collector. I did that. My brother and one of the other co-founders now, Alonzo, my high school friend, opened that collection agency. And while we were doing that, we were pretty successful. We got up to like 30 employees in it, and it was good, but it wasn't it wasn't very fulfilling. It wasn't like anything that we were super interested in. We just did it to do it. Like there was no reasoning behind it originally. And we were using our competitor's software, so we decided let's save some money and try and program our own. Alonzo is way more tech savvy than I am, and he's always trying to save money and do things ourselves. So he did that. He made our own phone system. He used like open source software that was available, saved us, probably $1,000 a month at the time, just did it ourselves. And a lot of other collection agencies knew us, wanted Alonzo to do that for him or for them. So we did, and it kind of grew from there. And then we used an autodialer at the time, competitors, and he said, hey, we can just code our own. And neither me or Alonzo are coders, but we have a friend who we know from playing World of Warcraft through high school. And we asked him, hey, do you want a job as a programmer? And can you want to code this for us? He did. And now he's a co-founder also in the company. And one of our other friends from high school, Richard Hacker, is a co-founder. And we all kind of met playing World of Warcraft. That's how we all really grew our relationship. And then we made that software. We said, hey, we like this way more than collections. Let's close that and do this.
That's excellent. That's cool. And an interesting kind of modern founder story, right?
Yeah, it's funny. We always talk about how playing World of Warcraft and running like a guild in that game is similar to running a business. Someone who doesn't do that might be surprised, but it is. I learned a lot, surprisingly, from that.
That's excellent. And so I think you said one of the founders, is that the founder from Brazil?
Yeah, Alan.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. So that opened up a whole new element to the business.
Yeah, for sure. It gave us, like we were talking before we got on camera here, it's hard hiring in Buffalo for tech talent. So it opens up, that's a huge challenge. So having the ability to a totally different country to hire in, I mean, that helps a lot.
Yeah, in a pretty developed country in terms of a lot of that type of skill set and so on.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, that's great. And you rolled through my next question there with your I was going to ask about pivots, evolutions during business. I think you did a great job of explaining it, but I don't know, anything else in there that was like a sidestep to kind of make things work?
Kind of. I mean, so when we first launched, we had the autodialer as our first product, and everyone knows, I mean, that's a hot topic nowadays, and robocalls, people hate them. I hate them. I get them. So we needed to, there's a lot of compliance coming down on collection agencies. They're a highly regulated industry. So there was a lot of laws coming out restricting how they can reach you on your cell phone. And one of them said, if you don't have permission to call a consumer on their cell phone with an autodialer, that's a violation of the TCPA. So we had to launch a new product a couple of years ago called Arbeit Click, which allows collection agencies to call you on your cell phone without using a robocall or an autodialer, but it still gives them the efficiency to do so. So we kind of completely changed gears at one point. We were planning on launching like a better version of our dialer, and that's what we were working on for almost a year at the time. And then these regulations came out, and we kind of just like cut that out, and we pivoted completely into a new product. It was hard getting everyone to agree to that, and it was a change. Everyone was kind of like, oh, that's, but we did it. And I think it was the right move now, especially with how even more magnified robocalls are being now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, it sounds like a good journey, right? Yeah. And you're still moving forward. So I think part of the reason that I thought this would be a good fit to be on this podcast was that we have kind of a focus on video and the way people are using it within their businesses. You guys use a lot of video, and you use it to kind of prove your expert status, I would say, very often. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you use it, the YouTube channels and everything?
Sure, yeah. I mean, video is just something that I think everybody just enjoys watching way more, or, it's easier to get points across in video. I don't like reading blogs anymore. Like, I just pull up a video, and so I think it's just something that's way easier. But how we use it is just for everything. We use it for recruiting. We used it for hiring before. We use it for, like you said, kind of, to position ourselves as experts in our industry. We bring people on different various shows we have. We have a debt collection specific show that we do on YouTube. We bring on various industry experts to talk about different compliance regulations and, challenges they face, and there's so many different challenges that collection agencies face. And that industry as a whole is kind of behind the times a little bit when it comes, any industry that's regulated by the government so much, I feel like is always behind the times in technology, because, the government's kind of pretty much behind in a lot of ways when it comes to technology and adapting laws to it. So there wasn't a lot of video coming out in that industry. There wasn't a lot happening in terms of, aside from webinars or like conferences people were hosting, they would talk about things there. So we kind of just realized there's pretty good opportunity here to do this. So we did. And we've gotten amazing feedback. I mean, it's just, people love it. Emily, our content creator, is comes up with such great ideas for having people on the show, different guests, and she's done it's really her thing. She's done such a really good job with it. And Tracy, since she's come on, our director of marketing, I mean, she's really added a lot to the videos, and just doing different things by having live events at our office, and then using those as videos and everything like that. But yeah,
right. I mean, yeah, it's no easy task to create as much content as you guys have, right?
No, for sure. I mean, when we first started doing video, that was probably one of our hardest challenges. We want to have great content. You don't want to produce a video that no one cares about watching, and it is just fluff, or that's always our biggest challenge with any piece of content, really, is we want to make sure that it's really meaningful. Because nowadays, I mean, content's so oversaturated. There's just so many blogs and so many videos and so many podcasts, and it's just I think that there's a big lack of like actual meaningful information out of it. So we try to, that makes it hard when you believe that to produce good content then, because you're always being super critical of what no one's going to want to watch that. No one's going to want to listen to that. So you kind of, always can ideas, but that's one of the definitely the biggest challenges.
Well, and that's you guys tackle it in much the same way, but it's often a great way to deal with content is you have other people on, you let them talk, like we're doing right now, and there's always good kind of tidbits that anybody I think has to offer, right? Anybody in business. So, well, to follow up on that and like those campaigns, we often get asked, like when we're creating video content or putting together a video marketing strategy, about results. Like what kind of results are you getting from your campaigns? Do you measure them, or is it just branding exercise?
Well, so Tracy measures them now, but we didn't. At the beginning we just did it, and so we get. I mean, there's a lot of intangible results that you can just see from my perspective. Just we go to a lot of trade shows, and a lot of people go to trade shows and different events, and people come up to us all the time who we would have never met otherwise, and I watch your videos, and we don't get a lot of views on these videos. I mean, deck collections is a very small industry relatively speaking.
Sure.
You get 100 views, but if it's everyone, 10% of the people at the trade show see this, that's a lot.
The right 100 views is worth a lot more than people think. Right?
It is for sure. You get people that come up to us at the booth and I love your videos. All of our clients, they'll talk about, they love them. They're informational. So, that's one of the things that we're working on getting better at is just tracking the actual results. And that's Tracy's been doing a great job of that. But that's not something that like I did in the past. It's just like, let's just do it. I know we should, I think it's going to work. And we did. And, you get a lot more brand recognition. Like if nothing else, it's worth it for that, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, and if you're already a believer in like kind of the medium and the power of it, it makes it a lot easier, right? Yeah. You don't have to see, X number of sales or something based off of it.
But I think, you will, it's just, you will over time, like might take a year or something, but we've closed deals from somebody that, started off saying, hey, I watched your video.
Right. Maybe
2 years later now, we closed a deal with them. They would have never probably found us maybe if it wasn't for the video. So it's that extra, it's that opening conversation, that warm in, and it's, if nothing, again, it's.
And people are, like we talked about this in one of the previous episodes when we, the one that we did with Holly Nowak, like it's that introduction. Like people are maybe even a little more comfortable, say, coming up to you because they kind of know you in a way.
For sure.
So you can get some more conversations going that maybe weren't there before.
And it's even easier for us. Like you can then talk about the concept of the show, just like, it's an open end for us then. Like, well, what are your challenges and like what do you want to see? And then you can kind of use that. It's nice. It's for both sides.
And now I'm going to use that to kind of go right into the next question I had about those video campaigns. What do you find most challenging about them?
Well, I guess it changed. It's changed a lot since the beginning. What we find most challenging. At the beginning, most challenging, was finding good content is like that's one of the hardest things always. But I guess when we first launched it, there was this like, it needs to be perfect and to look good and the sound, right? It needs to be great, which, we talked about. And then slowly you start to realize that's just do it and just get it out there. I think a lot of people kind of use that as an excuse. I have plenty of times.
Yes.
It's not perfect. You can't do it. You can't do it. And you just got to do it, get it out there, and then start kind of toning back. So that was one of the biggest challenges, is just me personally overcoming that perfectionist thing, of having it perfect. We can't do this and all that. So that would probably be one of the biggest challenges at the beginning, just to get over that. Like that's an internal thing. And then topics is, that's been a challenge throughout the whole time. It's just good content. I guess it's me being a perfectionist to an extent. It's making sure the content's good, and that the client, is whoever's watching is really gonna it's gonna be impactful for them, and they're gonna learn something from it. Yeah.
Do you ever take kind of customer feedback on what they'd like to hear about?
Yeah.
That's
We do. The sales team, we always have them asking at different trade shows. I mean, what do you guys want to hear about on the show? What do you guys want us to talk about? Or, we'll do surveys. What are your biggest challenges? And then we'll kind of, turn that into different shows. Our sales team is great at kind of reading the customers and what they want. They don't just go to these shows and just kind of party. They'll go and sit at all the seminars and listen. And then they listen to the questions that people are asking. And, well, what do people care about? Then they come back and they talk to Emily and Tracy about that. And then Emily and Tracy turn that into ideas. Trade shows are a great way, I guess, to learn that, because you have so many people from your industry. Just listen to what they're saying, listen to them. If they're asking a question about it at a trade show in front of 100 people, they care about it enough probably to watch a show on it.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a great tip. That's an excellent way to kind of come up with some topic ideas and so on.
I mean, you could just send out a Google form though to your, customers. Right. It doesn't have to be, if you can't afford to go to the trade shows right now, if you're smaller, I mean, you can just ask too. Some people are scared to ask. Just, hey, what are your challenges? I mean, call your customer and what do you guys care about? What are your challenges? And they'll tell you. They're not gonna,
Yeah, they typically will, right? And we've suggested to clients in the past. It's that if ever there's a question, that question, a question of what content to create, that question that you hear over and over from your client base is a great place to start, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to also touch on, so we tie these in with a blog post that we have existing. We'll probably take this chunk and put it up as part of it. So the blog post I wanted to kind of tie in with was best practices for video marketing on YouTube. And part of the reason I thought that we should talk about that with you is your thumbnails and so on are always great. So who does those? They're very eye-catching, they're fun, they're what you want, right?
Yeah, so. Emily does them, and it's one of those things that we kind of, when we first started, we just started reading about it, and it's evolved over time. We've changed what our thumbnails were. I mean, one time when Spencer Farrell was our director of business development, he used to do the shows with me, and we would pose in these weird poses for the longest time. And it was so awkward because you see all the, YouTube thumbnails now are this facial expression and then some zoomed in thing.
Right.
And we would do that, and then we, it got a little weird, so we ran out of ideas for that. We changed it. Now it's these colorful. We use our brand colors and different headshots of people participating. Emily just started that. I mean, we saw somebody else kind of doing it. We got inspiration from other posts, and that's, I guess, we just look at kind of what everyone else is doing and just turn it into your own thing. Take a little bit from someone, take a little bit from someone else, and turn it into your own thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the best practices that we list is make it fun, make it clickable, make it relevant to what's in the video, and you guys nailed that. So that was why I wanted to bring that up. All right, so I'm going to ask you the big question now, right? Now this is the one you probably prepared for. Tracy may have a statement off camera for you or something. But what is the one thing, and you can only pick one, that's what makes it hard, that you think you've done to make your business smarter?
So letting other people make decisions and do things on their own and make mistakes, I guess. Giving up as a founder and a CEO of a company, I feel at the beginning you want to do everything. You know best. I know best. I know that's wrong. Blah blah blah. I had this problem. I still probably do to an extent, and I think everyone has that problem. And so as you grow as a company, though, you're never gonna be able to scale your company if you keep doing that. I mean, you're just going to stay at a certain size and that's it. You won't be able to scale. It's impossible to keep making all the decisions in a bigger company and to do all that. So bringing people in, talented people, smart people, smarter people than you, and then letting them make decisions and, not just make decisions, but let them make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I don't know about that's how I learn best. I mean, I kind of just do things and then see what happens. And then if I made a mistake, I learn from it and fix it. And a lot of the times I find myself doing this, and I see other people doing it, is when you're going to let somebody else make a decision, and then it's a bad decision, and I want to jump in and say, no, don't do that. And I've learned to not, right? Because let them learn from their mistake, and and maybe you're wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong, and it's not a bad idea. And maybe they can just learn from their mistake, though. As long as it's not like some detrimental thing that's going to like ruin the company. But I mean, there's virtually no, that's not a realistic thing.
Sure.
It's another excuse I think people use, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Protect yourself, right? And your I don't know, founder ego or something.
Yeah.
Right?
It's but that's one of the best things that we've done, and it's only recently kind of that I've started to really work on it. But as we grow, and we started a leadership team at the company, so we have like 5 or 6 of us on that now, and everyone letting them own their own thing and make their own decisions and trusting them to do that. Like, it feels great from my position, like knowing that that they're capable of doing that, and like just knowing like that a lot of founders, I think, and probably have the feeling of, if I left or if I'm not here anymore, what's going to happen to this company? Like, it wouldn't be able to like run. And it's like, so creating a company that can just run and function and chug along no matter if anyone leaves, like and that's what this is kind of giving me, like peace of mind, like that would happen.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate. A lot of business owners don't want to admit, right, that they're not as necessary to the business, but when you get to the point where you don't need to be there, like you really created something, right? Yeah,
and people probably said this before, and it's not like some hot take or anything, but it's not as hard as like you think it is to do it. Bring people in, that are dedicated, passionate about it, and just start letting them make decisions and make mistakes and learning from them. Because that's how 99% of other founders and business owners got to where they are today, probably.
Right.
Well, so let the people under you, do that same thing, and they'll eventually get to that point. And, that's. Yeah.
I think that's a great answer. Yeah. Let your employees or people around you kind of learn from their mistakes. It can't be as never mess up kind of thing is not the way to grow, right? Yeah. So, well, I've got one last kind of piece then that we can talk about, and so we do this in all our like interviews, our testimonials, and everything, where we'll ask one just kind of open-ended question at the end. So we've kind of covered everything that we had in our little doc that we set up beforehand. So is there anything that you didn't cover, or anything that you feel like you would like to kind of convey to the audience out there?
Good question.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is usually the best tidbit.
I wouldn't have went on so much about what I said previously. I would have elaborated on that more.
Now, I can give you what some of the other folks said, and that could help. So, like, Joe Neiman, Tony DeSimone recommended the book. Holly recommended kind of hiring a bookkeeper and how important that is early on.
So I got something, I guess, is just like, this is something, that I think we do very well of, but just take care of the people kind of that, that work with you and got you to where you are. Like, employee benefits is like just something that we're really big on. So keep that in mind, like when you start your company, to do that, even if it cuts into your own personal profits, like just start, giving good PTO and, healthcare and all that stuff. Like, that stuff's really expensive on its own for an individual to get. So like company provided healthcare, like stuff like that, just, I think it goes a long way. It helps with retaining, if you need a reason why to do it, like, I don't think you really should. I think it's just the right thing to do. But, if you do need a reason, like, it's going to help people stay at your company. It's going to help attract talent. But so just keeping that in mind and doing it from, starting out early, because I think it's very hard to start that after maybe you're a founder or owner, like, and then to cut into your own profits basically, and then start, take away money maybe that you're already getting and using it to give benefits and such. So starting that out from the get-go, just, paying it like we offer healthcare. We pay $500 of healthcare. We have 30 days of PTO. We have maternity, paternity leave. Like 3 or 4 months of maternity leave. It's just stuff like that, I guess, is like something that I think that people really should focus on if you're starting a company, and just making sure that's kind of put that in your projections from day one. I guess. I
think that's excellent advice. And you're certainly right. Like, started early on, so it's not like a catastrophic hit like later on, right? When you try to like do something like that.
If you started early, like your pricing's already got that in mind. You're already used to that, and
your employees from the early days are maybe still there, right?
It's and it's hard, but you can start with something little. You don't have to you don't have to go with all these things right away. But you might like PTO, for example, like offering 30 days of PTO, like you don't necessarily feel that doesn't affect the business necessarily. I mean, depending on what industry you're in, I guess, but it's not like you see tangible, like we don't see a tangible decrease in productivity since we just upped our PTO a couple months ago, and we haven't noticed, like it's not like we started developing less or selling less.
Right.
Because people are happier when they're there then.
Sure.
They're less burnt out. So stuff like that doesn't necessarily cost the company much of anything.
Right. Might even be upside to it.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's great. All right. Well, that fills out my whole set of questions here. So thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah,
for
thanks
being
so much
on
for
the
having
show.
me. I appreciate it.
And great advice. And we'll that's all I'm gonna do. Just shut it down. Okay, that's a wrap for this episode. Make sure you check out Arbeit's YouTube channels. They have some great content on there. Thanks for checking out the Smarter Business Podcast. Subscribe and comment on this episode to help us grow our audience.